Have you ever stopped to consider how the world's two largest economies interact with each other? It's a question that's at the heart of a fascinating yet complex geopolitical landscape. This landscape, characterized by the intricate dance between the United States and China, paints a picture of strategic competition on a grand scale. Strategic competition. Now there's a term that's as intriguing as it is daunting. It encapsulates the push and pull between these two economic powerhouses, each striving to gain the upper hand. But what makes this dynamic so risky? Well, let's dissect it a bit. The United States and China are not just any two countries. They are the world's largest economies whose actions reverberate across the globe. Each decision they make, each policy they implement has the potential to shape the world economy. And then there's the element of unpredictability. In the world of geopolitics, things can change in the blink of an eye. A tweet here, a policy change there, and the balance of power shifts. This unpredictability breeds uncertainty, and in the world of business and finance, uncertainty is a risk. But there's more to it than that. This strategic competition isn't just about economics, it's about technology, military power, and global influence. It's about who sets the rules of the game in the 21st century. It's a multi-dimensional chess game where every move matters. This is why BlackRock Inc., the world's largest asset manager, has labeled these tensions as a high risk. According to their October Geopolitical Risk Dashboard, the strategic competition between the US and China is nearly twice as risky as a major terrorist attack. This speaks volumes about the gravity of the situation. So, as we delve into this topic, let's remember that the stakes are high. The consequences of these tensions can have far-reaching impacts. They can shape the future of our world economy, influence international relationships, and change the course of history. We're all players in this global game, whether we realize it or not. So let's understand the rules, shall we? BlackRock, the world's largest money manager, has weighed in on this issue. The behemoth of finance, renowned for its incisive market analyses, has taken a keen interest in the escalating tensions between the United States and China. In the realm of high-stakes geopolitics, BlackRock's October assessment of this issue is more than just a routine review. It's a deep dive into the swirling currents of international relations, a comprehensive analysis of the shifting sands of power between the world's two largest economies. On their Geopolitical Risk Dashboard, a tool that quantifies and ranks global risk factors, BlackRock has assigned the US-China strategic competition a risk score of 1.5. This score is nearly double that of a potential major terrorist attack, underscoring the gravity of the situation. But what does this score actually mean? Essentially, it's a measure of attention, a gauge of how much focus this particular issue is receiving on the global stage. A score of 1.5 indicates a high level of attention, suggesting that the world is closely watching the unfolding drama between the US and China. But it's not just the score that's noteworthy, it's the implications behind it. By assigning such a high score to the US-China tensions, BlackRock is signaling that this issue is a significant global concern. It's not just about trade or technology, it's about the balance of power, the future of globalization, the shape of the international order in the 21st century. BlackRock's assessment, however, is not all doom and gloom. They acknowledge that there has been some improvement in US-China relations recently, but they also caution that this improvement is fragile. It's a delicate equilibrium that could easily be upset by a single misstep or miscalculation. Clearly, BlackRock's assessment has shed light on a crucial global situation that demands our attention. So let's turn our attention to understanding what these numbers mean and what they could potentially mean for the future of our world. So what does this attention score of 1.5 really mean? Well, let's unpack that. BlackRock's Geopolitical Risk Dashboard uses this scoring system to gauge the level of attention that different risks are receiving. Higher scores indicate greater concern. When we see a score of 1.5, it paints a picture of a risk that's firmly on the radar. But to truly grasp the weight of this score, we need to contrast it with other geopolitical risks. Let's take a major terrorist attack, for example. This event, with its potential to cause immediate severe harm, scores significantly lower on BlackRock's dashboard. In fact, the US-China tension score is nearly double that of a major terrorist attack. This stark contrast tells us something crucial about the world's current state of affairs. It suggests that the strategic competition between the United States and China is perceived as a more pressing concern than other traditionally high-risk scenarios. It's not just about the potential economic fallout, which could be significant, but also about the broader implications for global stability and security. This high score also reflects the complexity and intricacy of the US-China relationship. It's a multifaceted issue that impacts everything from trade and technology to security and human rights. The tension between these two global powers isn't just a simple dispute. It's a layered, nuanced situation that requires careful navigation. So when we see a score of 1.5, it's not just a number, it's a signal, a warning bell that's ringing loud and clear. It's a reminder that the US-China tensions aren't just a fleeting headline or a temporary blip on the geopolitical radar. They're a significant concern that demands our attention and thoughtful action. As you can see, this is not just about numbers. These figures represent real-world tensions with potentially significant consequences. Scene script. Recent relations between the US and China might seem to be improving, but how stable is this progress really? Let's delve into that. BlackRock, a major investment manager, has described the recent rapprochement between the US and China as fragile. Now, fragility implies a susceptibility to sudden change, and in the context of international relations, it suggests an inherent instability that could quickly undermine any apparent progress. But why would BlackRock label the situation as such? Well, the answer lies in the deep-rooted structural issues that still exist between these two powerhouses. These issues range from trade and technology disputes to human rights concerns and territorial claims. Each of these issues represents a potential flashpoint that could quickly escalate tensions. For instance, a sudden escalation in trade disputes could lead to new tariffs, disrupting global supply chains and hampering economic recovery. Or a disagreement over territorial claims could provoke a military confrontation with far-reaching implications for global security. And then there's the question of trust. Years of strategic competition have eroded trust between the US and China. This lack of trust fuels uncertainty, making it difficult to sustain any improvements in relations. A single misstep or misunderstanding could easily plunge the two nations back into a cycle of escalation and retaliation. The implications of this fragility for the global economy are significant. In an interconnected world, a breakdown in US-China relations could trigger a cascade of economic and political disruptions. Markets could tumble, investments could dry up, and the global economy could be thrown into turmoil. In other words, the health of the global economy is to a large extent dependent on the stability of US-China relations. So, while the recent improvements in relations are certainly welcome, they don't necessarily signal an end to the geopolitical risks. It's clear that while progress is being made, the path to stable relations between the US and China is fraught with challenges. So, what have we learned from BlackRock's assessment? In the grand scheme of things, the global chessboard, if you will, is dominated by two major players, the United States and China. These two economies, both powerhouses in their own right, are engaged in what BlackRock terms as a strategic competition, a game that has repercussions far beyond their respective borders. BlackRock's October Geopolitical Risk Dashboard has not only flagged this competition as a high risk, but also quantified it with an attention score of 1.5. Now, to put that into perspective, this score is nearly double the score of a possible major terrorist attack. So it's not just a matter of concern, it's a matter of significant global concern. This risk score isn't just a number plucked out of thin air. It's a measure of the tension that exists between these two countries, a tension that is fueled by technological competition, trade disagreements, and geopolitical maneuvering. It's a tension that can ripple across the globe, affecting economies, markets, and lives in its wake. But it's not all doom and gloom. There has been a recent improvement in relations between the US and China, a silver lining, you might say. But let's not get too comfortable just yet. BlackRock describes this improvement as fragile. It's a delicate balance that could tip at any moment, a balance that requires careful and considerate handling. So where does this leave us? It leaves us with a clear understanding that the US-China relationship is not just another news headline. It's a major geopolitical risk that has the potential to shape our global landscape in ways we may not fully comprehend yet. Whether you're an investor, a policymaker, or just an interested observer, Understanding the dynamics between these two global powers is crucial. Until next time, keep an eye on the geopolitical landscape. It shapes more of our world than we might realize.